Japan's elders are known for their calm strength, the quiet kind that doesn't appear in magazines, but in the way an 82-year-old woman still cooks breakfast for herself, or how a 91-year-old man still walks slowly to the market. Not all Japanese seniors are perfectly healthy, and certainly not all follow ideal diets. But many of them avoid one specific problem more effectively than we do in the West: chronic, low-grade inflammation, the kind that builds silently over decades. Scientists call this phenomenon inflammaging, the long-term inflammation that increases after age 60 and quietly affects joints, circulation, digestion, energy, and even mood. What these elders avoid isn't magic or ancient ritual. It's simply food choices shaped by culture, habit, and lived experience. In the West, inflammation rises mostly because of hidden triggers in our daily meals: certain oils, processed ingredients, sugary foods, and high-sodium items. Japanese elders avoid many of these, not because they're following strict diets, but because their culinary traditions evolved differently. They grew up eating fresh, clean, gut-friendly, minimally processed meals. By the end, you'll understand why these habits quietly protect their joints, digestion, and energy, and how small choices can bring real comfort after 60. Sugar is one of the most silent drivers of inflammation as we age, not only because it raises blood glucose, but because it keeps the immune system slightly irritated all the time. When your blood sugar spikes over and over, your body releases inflammatory molecules that slowly damage blood vessels, joints, and even the brain. After 60, this becomes even more important. Our cells are less efficient at handling excess glucose, which means each sugary snack stays active in the body for longer, creating more oxidative stress. Japanese elders who grew up with limited access to sweets naturally developed a habit of treating sugar as something occasional, not a daily companion. In many Western households, dessert is an automatic part of lunch or dinner, and sugary snacks fill the hours between meals. Cookies with coffee, sweetened yogurt, cereal bars, soft drinks — the body never truly gets a break from glucose spikes. In Japan, especially among older generations, sweetness is more subtle and comes in smaller portions, often tied to seasons rather than routine. Clinical studies show that diets high in added sugars increase levels of C-reactive protein and other inflammatory markers in older adults. That doesn't mean sugar is a poison, but it does mean the dose and frequency matter. Japanese elders often replace sugary drinks with unsweetened tea and choose fruit or small traditional sweets, wagashi, instead of large cakes or pastries. Fruit behaves differently in the body than refined sugar because it arrives with fiber, water, and vitamins. A slice of persimmon or a few strawberries raise blood sugar more gently than a cookie or candy bar. Many Japanese elders still follow the habit of eating fruit slowly, sliced and shared, rather than grabbing a packaged dessert. Another cultural difference is how sweetness appears in main meals. Western sauces, salad dressings, and even breads are often sweetened, turning what looks like a savory plate into a sugar-heavy experience. Traditional Japanese meals for elders rely more on savory, umami-rich flavors from miso, soy sauce in small amounts, seaweed, and dashi broths, so hidden sugars are less common. Of course, modern Japan also has convenience stores full of sweetbreads and colorful snacks, and many younger people eat them regularly. But among older generations, you still find a cautious attitude. Too much sweetness is seen as heavy, cloying, and uncomfortable for the body. That intuitive discomfort translates into lower inflammation over a lifetime. For someone over 60 watching this, the goal is not perfection or strict restriction. Instead, you can borrow 3 simple ideas from Japanese elders: shrink the portion, slow down the speed, and shift the frequency. A smaller dessert once or twice a week, eaten slowly with tea, is very different from something sweet every afternoon and every night. Even small swaps make a difference. Water or unsweetened tea instead of soda, natural yogurt with a bit of fruit instead of ice cream, or fruit after lunch instead of cookies. Each choice slightly lowers the inflammatory load on your joints, arteries, and brain. Over months and years, these gentle reductions bring more comfort than any extreme diet. In Japan, many elders don't think in terms of anti-inflammatory diet. They simply say, "This feels lighter," or "My body likes this better." Listening to that same quiet feedback in your own body may be one of the most powerful lessons their habits can offer. Processed baked goods, white bread, muffins, pastries, croissants, are everyday foods in many Western households, but they are major inflammation triggers, especially after 60. Refined flour behaves almost the same as sugar in the body. It breaks down quickly, spikes blood glucose, and activates inflammatory pathways that stress joints, digestion, and circulation. Japanese elders didn't grow up eating these foods daily. Their breakfasts traditionally centered around rice, miso soup, tofu, and vegetables, meals that digest gently and deliver steady energy. When your first meal of the day is soft rice porridge instead of pastries, your blood sugar stays more stable, which reduces inflammation throughout the morning. Western pastries also come with another problem: seed oils and butter in large quantities, often baked at high temperatures. Heat, sugar, and fat together create inflammatory compounds that accumulate with age. For seniors, this combination often leads to bloating, stiffness, and afternoon fatigue. In Japan, bread exists, but many elders eat it in small portions. A thin slice, a light spread, may be paired with tea or fruit. It's not the base of the meal, and when they do enjoy baked goods, the sweetness tends to be milder, with fewer additives and smaller ingredient lists. For someone over 60, simply reducing white flour foods can bring noticeable benefits: calmer digestion, steadier energy, and less morning stiffness. Swapping pastries for yogurt and seeds, oatmeal, or rice-based meals doesn't require perfection, just small shifts. Even partial changes create space for the body to rest from inflammation. Fried foods are not all equal. The danger isn't just the frying, but the repeated heating of oils, something extremely common in restaurants, fast food chains, and home frying when the same oil is reused. Every time oil is reheated, it breaks down and forms compounds that trigger inflammation in the gut, arteries, and joints. Japanese elders do eat fried foods like tempura, but rarely in the industrial style. Tempura in traditional homes is made with fresh oil, fried only once, and served in small portions alongside rice, vegetables, and miso soup. The balance of the meal softens the inflammatory impact. The problem in Western diets is frequency and quantity. Many people consume fried snacks multiple times a week: fried chicken, French fries, onion rings, all often cooked in vats of reheated oil. After 60, the body's ability to neutralize oxidative stress drops, meaning these meals create longer-lasting inflammation. Japanese elders also prefer gentler cooking methods: steaming, boiling, grilling, simmering. These methods preserve nutrients and reduce the creation of inflammatory molecules. An elder who grew up eating simmered vegetables or grilled fish is naturally less exposed to fried foods. For someone over 60, small changes already help. Choosing baked instead of fried, ordering grilled options, or enjoying fried foods only occasionally in small servings. Your joints, digestion, and circulation feel the difference. Reducing exposure to reheated oils isn't about restriction. It's about comfort, longevity, and making meals easier for the body to handle. Processed meats, sausages, deli ham, bacon, salami, industrial pork slices, canned meats are some of the strongest inflammatory triggers for adults over 60. The issue has little to do with the meat itself and everything to do with the chemical processing behind it. Nitrates, nitrites, curing salts, preservatives, artificial smoke, excess sodium, and oxidized fats all increase inflammatory markers in the bloodstream, creating a burden the aging body struggles to clear. After 60, recovery from oxidative stress slows significantly. What a younger body might tolerate occasionally becomes a lingering inflammatory state for older adults. Joints become stiffer, digestion becomes more sensitive, blood pressure rises more easily, and energy fluctuates throughout the day. For this reason, many doctors now classify processed meats as high inflammation accelerators for seniors. Japanese elders, especially those born before the 1960s, were not raised with these industrial meats. Their protein sources were culturally shaped by necessity and availability. Fresh fish, tofu, natto, soybeans, miso, eggs, and small portions of simmered or grilled meats cooked at home. Because processed meats were rare, most elders never developed a habit of eating them daily, as many Westerners have. Industrial bacon, ham, and sausages also contain high amounts of sodium. Excess sodium triggers fluid retention, swelling, and inflammation, especially in the hands, legs, and ankles. In older adults, this can cause discomfort and reduce mobility. Japanese elders naturally keep sodium lower not because of strict discipline, but because their meals rely on small, balanced portions where salty foods are flavor accents rather than the foundation of the dish. Traditional Japanese cooking favors light preparation. Proteins are simmered in broth, gently grilled, steamed, or eaten raw as sashimi, reducing exposure to high-temperature cooking byproducts that worsen inflammation. When they do eat pork or beef, it's often in small quantities, surrounded by vegetables, rice, and miso soup, which buffer the inflammatory load. Western diets often replace whole food proteins with convenience meats, breakfast bacon, deli sandwiches, hot dogs, or store-bought sausages. These foods are engineered for flavor intensity, not long-term health. After 60, this pattern compounds inflammation daily, affecting joints, arteries, and gut microbiota. One practical shift inspired by Japanese elders is protein simplification, centering meals on cleaner, gentler sources. Options like fish, eggs, tofu, tempeh, lentils, chicken breast, or even small portions of slow-cooked pork create far less inflammation than industrial meats. The goal isn't perfection or eliminating every indulgence, it's reducing frequency. Even replacing processed meats on 3 or 4 days of the week can produce noticeable improvements in digestion, energy, and the feeling of heaviness in the joints. Japanese elders show that longevity is often built on defaults, not extremes. And avoiding processed meats is one of the simplest defaults you can adopt for a calmer, healthier body after 60. Salt is essential, but excess sodium is one of the most overlooked drivers of inflammation after 60. It causes water retention, joint stiffness, swelling in the hands and ankles, and increased pressure on the cardiovascular system. High sodium foods also disrupt the balance of gut bacteria, which plays a major role in inflammation control. Japanese elders do eat pickles, but what they eat is profoundly different from the industrial versions common in Western supermarkets. Traditional Japanese pickles, known as tsukemono, are fermented, lightly salted, and served in tiny portions, often no larger than a tablespoon. Their purpose is to add flavor and aid digestion, not to dominate the meal. Industrial pickles, on the other hand, are loaded with sodium, preservatives, stabilizers, artificial dyes, and vinegar solutions that bypass natural fermentation. Many modern ready-to-eat pickles contain 2 or 3 times the sodium of traditional tsukemono. For someone over 60, this creates inflammation on multiple fronts: water retention, digestive discomfort, and increased strain on circulation. It's not just pickles. Many modern salty sides, instant noodles, packaged soups, flavored rice mixes, seasoning packets, salted nuts, chips, and convenience store snacks deliver a sodium load far beyond what an aging body can comfortably handle. Japanese elders tend to avoid these because they were not part of their daily meals growing up, and they prefer foods whose flavors come from broth, herbs, miso, or natural fermentation. Another factor is portion size. Western salty foods often come in large servings, making it easy to exceed daily sodium limits without noticing. Japanese elders, by contrast, favor small dishes, a little fish, a small bowl of rice, a cup of miso soup, a few vegetables. Even when salt is present, it is spread out across many small items instead of concentrated into one large, heavily salted portion. If you're over 60, reducing high-sodium industrial foods is one of the simplest ways to ease inflammation. Choosing low-sodium broths, rinsing canned foods, using herbs instead of salty seasonings, and enjoying smaller pickle portions all help the body settle. Japanese elders show that flavor doesn't require excess salt. It requires balance, fermentation, and mindful portions. Their habits protect the body quietly, one small dish at a time. Before we finish, I want to gently recommend something special: my ebook on the Japanese anti-inflammatory diet for people over 60. It goes deeper into the foods, habits, and simple daily rituals that help reduce inflammation and support mobility, digestion, and long-term comfort. If this video resonates with you, the ebook will guide you step by step with clarity and real-world practicality. Now, returning to today's topic. Japanese elders don't follow perfect diets. They face limitations, aches, and fatigue, just like anyone else. But what sets many of them apart is the gentleness of their daily choices. Their meals are smaller, lighter, and simpler. Their ingredients are less processed. Their flavors come from broth, fermentation, and slow cooking, not from sugar or salt. Inflammation after 60 isn't just a medical concept. It's a lived experience. It shows up as stiff joints in the morning, swelling after a heavy meal, digestive discomfort, or the sudden tiredness that hits after foods that are too sweet or too fried. What Japanese elders show us is that calming inflammation doesn't require strict dieting. It only requires noticing what your body responds to. Small changes matter: swapping sugary snacks for fruit, choosing fresh proteins instead of processed meats, eating fried foods occasionally instead of daily, using less salt, or spreading it across many small dishes instead of one large one. These adjustments don't transform your life in a week. They transform it gently over months and years. And that's the real lesson. Longevity isn't built through pressure. It's built through consistency, through meals that feel light, through habits that respect your age, through small decisions that accumulate into comfort. If you're ready to take the next step, the ebook is waiting for you. A quiet companion on your journey to a calmer, healthier body after 60. If this video brought you clarity or comfort, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and share it with someone who might need it today. These small actions help the channel reach more people looking for a calmer, healthier life after 60. And if you want to go deeper, check the link in the description to get your Japanese anti-inflammatory ebook. It's the next step on your journey toward lighter meals, stronger energy, and a more peaceful body.